Of the world's poor, with 5 million Africans living in poverty in 2022 and 149 million at risk of falling into poverty in the same year. During the 55th session of the Conference of African Ministers of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the chief economist of ECA, Hanan Morsi, says that the continent faced a tsunami of global shocks that have exacerbated existing socio-economic oppression and equity. The chief economist further explains that there is a skewed distribution across the continent, particularly in the East and West Africa, with high rate of inequality. She, however, urges African governments to pursue inclusive macroeconomic policies such as targeted and efficient spending and build resilience to future shocks at the household and community level. And despite the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira Redesign policy aimed at growing cashless transactions, the value of electronic utility payments fell by 44.86% in February. The Nigeria Interbank Settlement System recent data shows that the value of utility bills fell to 90.93 billion naira from 164.89 billion naira in January, signifying a two-year low. Now, after hitting 78.38 billion in February 2020, 161.87 billion in February 2021, and 218.80 billion in February 2022. The national president of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, Mr. Victor Olojo, noted that the Naira redesign policy depressed the economy and led many point of sales terminal operators to shut down their businesses. And amid increase in crude production by 48,000 barrels per day in February, Nigeria's oil rigs count stagnated at 13 during the month. Data released by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, reveals that Nigeria's oil rigs count rose from 6 to 13 between January 2022 and the same period in 2023, but the velocity has now been slowed. This marks a major positive change of 8.33% from November last year and 116.7% from a year ago. Although OPEC's monthly oil market report in March shows an expectation that the rigs count could hit 14 this month, but did not materialize. And Asian stocks were lifted from lows today with a rescue of Credit Suisse stemming selling in bank shares, though the mood was fragile and distress in markets had traders wondering whether U.S. rate hikes might be finished. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan rose 0.5% in early. Shares bounced 1.3% from yesterday's 4-month trial, and the Hang Seng opened 0.7% higher. Japanese markets were closed for a holiday, though Chicago traded Nikkei futures were in the green. Overnight, an early sell-off in Europe was reversed, and on Wall Street, the S&P 500 rose 0.9%. Also, U.S. futures rose 0.2% in early Asia trade. According to recent World Bank reports, Syria's real gross domestic product, GDP, is expected to drop by 5.5% in 2023, following the February the 6th and February the 20th earthquakes that hit the northern and western parts of the country. The Washington-based lender says that economic growth may fall further if reconstruction progress is slower than expected, given limited public resources, weak private investment, and limited humanitarian assistance reaching needy areas. Also, Syria earthquake 2023 rapid damage and needs assessment report reveals that the cost of physical damage caused by the earthquake is estimated at $3.7 billion, while losses including reduced output in productive sectors, lost revenue, and higher operating costs for services are forecast at $1.5 billion to have an estimated total impact of $5.2 billion. While inflation is expected to increase substantially in the country, primarily driven by the reduction in goods available and increase in transport costs and the rise in overall demand for reconstruction material. And now to the oil sector, crude oil price drifted lower today as more than a week of banking turmoil kept weighing on market confidence. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell to sell at $67 per barrel, with a price decline of 0. Brent crude futures also experienced a downward price margin of 0.91%, selling at $73.12. Bonny Light sells at $72.65 per barrel, recording a downward price review of 0.91%. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers are offering for $74.11 per barrel, with an uptick of 0.49%.